Drawing the hands, I have open, close, and claw shapes for you to try. Here I'm starting with box shape. I am dividing the box into two, and then the bottom half I divide that into two as well. You can see I use X marks the spot, and the top of the bottom half is going to be where the thumb normally ends, and it touches the top fingers. So because it's open, it's not touching. But after drawing the box, I usually draw stick figures. I count 1, 2, 3, 4 in my head, and then I break that down into three little nuggets because there's three little joints inside your hands. There's more than three, but just in general. That's how I simplify it. So you're gonna see me repeat this process. You can see the box shape helps me see the side of the wrist and the underside of the wrist as well. Here I go and I break down the T method, and I'm doing a circular uh, drawing of the hands. Where the bottom half, where the palm is, I do like an upside down heart. I like to think of it as a chicken drumstick for the thumb sometimes. So this way you know that the palm is always going to be fat, and then you have two little bones on the thumb side. So there's actually three bones, but where the fatty part is, it covers up the third one. And even where the T is on the lower half, there's going to be little bones. I'm going to say like pieces. You see me drawing the little pieces now at the bottom half. And then on the top, there's going to be longer bones that stick straight up. So here's the long bones in the finger for the thumb, and now the long for the lower half where the palm is. So three up top, I break it down, and where the box is, usually you don't see those fourth bones because of the muscles and the joints. But it definitely has like little rock shapes when it comes to where the thumb meets the palm and the wrist. So this is why I use the T shapes to remind me that it's going to change position. Now here I'm trying to do a box shape, but do know that when the knuckles are folded, that line that the fingers make, they don't touch the top of the box. They actually stay open. And that would be because if I was to make those little circles, which I'm starting to make right now, those would be the longest point of the fingers bones inside the palm. So this wasn't drawn perfectly, and I eventually changed it. I wasn't super happy with it, but again, you see the reference right below. Um, I could always redraw it. I don't think I redraw it more than once, but again, trial and error, editing is a thing. In drawing, there's always going to be mistakes. Sometimes you catch them quickly, sometimes you catch them later. But again, this is just a basic tutorial on how I see the bones and how I simplify it so that I can draw fingers. So again, I make that T method, and then I have the same size, width, and height for the palm and also for the fingers. So if I was to close my fingers and have them try to touch the bottom of my palm, they don't fully do it, but the rule is that your fingers would fit in the palm area. The thumb always stops at the lower point of your fingers. And the thumb is always offset. It's not going to be straight up and down just like the tall fingers that stick straight up. You can see I'm not saying phalange and all this other special words for anatomy, because in general you just got to remember the shapes that'll help you remember draw. When it comes to the fist, there's actually a curve. You can think of where your pointer finger is closest to your thumb. That curve is always going to be the highest. I didn't fully stretch the curve in the fist position, but you can. Now here I'm doing the circular method, two up top, two below, then X marks the spot so I can see where the thumb will end. You see me doing the bony little threes for the top of the fingers. Again, there's two on the thumb side and one hidden where the palm is. Now you might see a little bit overlapping in this one because the palm in this case is going to be below the wrist. But in the opposite one above, you see that the wrist is above the palm. Now in this case, I made the finger a little wonky. The pinky was definitely longer than it should have been. So I eventually used my marker, or I should say ink pen, and I changed the position. I decided to use ink pen so it'll be easier to see within the lighting. I do enjoy drawing with pencil and then covering it with ink. It's one of my comic books obsessions. Even ink wash is fun. If you ever paint with ink wash, that's a fun one. But use any material you find comfortable for this project. You can stay with pencils fully, or you can use a pen. Now here I'm doing the box method again, and I'm checking for the angles so I can build the cups. I'm also making sure that the proportion of the cup is similar. I know up top is going to be wider and the short width is going to be below. I make the top half of the palm a little straight, which I should have made it curve, but I do make the C curve when it comes to the fingers holding the cup. It's always good to pose for your own drawings when it comes to how to draw hands. Sometimes you don't have the perfect model, it's hard to find the reference, and having your own pictures of your own hand positions is usually the best. I did make the thumb side palm half a little too wide, but again, some people do have big hands, so it doesn't really bother me. If you ever find you make a mistake, just erase and redraw before you ink. In this case, I could have added some shadows, some wrinkles, some shade, whatever. But I do enjoy how the fingers came out on the cup. It doesn't look like it's gripping it as tight as the picture, but it was enjoyable to create. Now you see I do the little circles for the palm where actually I would say the little bones go, and then the top is open. I make the C curve to show me where the bones are going to be jutting out. Now, usually when you bend your knuckles, it forms L's. That's how I like to remember it. And when you try to point your fingers to the center of your palm, they actually don't go straight down. They point a little bit towards the thumb side. So always remember when you're drawing that your fingers do try to point towards your thumb often. You can overextend your fingers to try to point towards the wrist, but that's a choice. It's not always the easiest thing to do with your fingers. So here I start with stick figures or outlines, gestures if you like, when it comes to the C curve, and then I flesh it out with the width of what the thickness of the fingers would be. So this is my simple way of building my fingers. I always, again, break it into two pieces, top and bottom, and then I divide the palm half where the top of the palm half goes, or I should say of the middle half. That's where the thumb normally comes out. And remember, there's a C where the thumb and the pointer finger is. There's webs there. I like to say it's a web, but you always have to make that in a C-like. And you can put some wrinkles there because the fingers do stretch. So the lower one is stretched and the one on the far right is more closed in a neutral position.